It's a Daily Talk Show, episode 278.
Who says, you've said it to me before, you need to make sure that you still have nerves going into anything that you do to know that you'll still be great at it or something like that.
I think Dan Harris,
he talks
the
about
guy who had a meltdown on the Today Show in the US.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a book called 10% Happier. I think he might talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like a musician always feels the nerves before they start. I've worked it out. Sometimes I don't feel nervous, but today I felt nervous, but it's because I had a coffee. So I'm just like on edge.
Yeah, I had a toasty, so I'm sweating.
Your body's processing that Reuben, whatever that meat is. What is a Reuben meat?
I don't know.
The person who makes it doesn't even know.
I've actually started feeling guilty about my meat consumption.
Really?
Even just then I said toasted sandwich. I felt like didn't want to be polarizing by saying Reuben because Reuben is a very meaty meat.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't fucking know what it is.
Is it American? I think.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where you get it. Reuben sandwiches in America. It's like this sort of boiled meat, and then they cut it off. It's unbelievable.
Well, the funny thing is the actual Reuben. The bit that I enjoy is the pickles, like the gherkins,
yes,
the mayo, all of that stuff is what I actually like.
Go vegan for a month, mate. I dare you.
The thing is, whenever I've done that,
You've done that?
I haven't done it for a whole month, but I've definitely tried to reduce my intake. But I feel like I go the other way, where have a lot of acai bowls, a lot of smoothies.
Mate, you're just trying to be trendy. That's not going vegan. It'd be hard. I think it'd be quite hard going from the person that eats a Reuben sandwich. I'm not saying you're some.
What does that mean? What sort
guy.
of what sort of person?
I'm that guy. I'm that guy who'll eat a Reuben sandwich. But going the opposite way, walking along the beach the other night, and there's spray paint on the ground of these. I was like, look at these fucking Gronks graffiti on the ground, and then I looked. It's like something around animal cruelty. It's like, fuck it. What if my stance is all about graffiti, and I hate that? But then they're doing a good thing.
It is.
Whose cause is more important? But anyway, they were like, it was like a website link.
I could answer it, I reckon. But
which one?
I think the animal cruelty thing.
Definitely.
Did you know? In China, I believe there's regulations that say that you have to test on animals for your products before it can get into market.
It's a stupid rule.
So this is why I know anyway. So a friend of mine used to work at a cosmetics company.
Yes.
And they were all sort of certified, all this shit, right? Animal cruelty free.
Yes.
But
it's a rabbit on the back with a cross on it.
Really?
On some products. Yeah. It's like a little emblem knowing that this is not
tested on
we don't test on animals.
Not that it's not for rabbits.
Well, I mean, if you're a rabbit and you want to wear the makeup.
But anyway, they apparently if you're in the Chinese market, if you see a product that's in China, they would have had to test on animals. It's
so fucking dumb. China, they've got sex dolls, meaning humans have sex with a fucking doll.
We have them everywhere.
But why do they have to still test on things like they're making dolls of humans that are so real? Test on a robot doll, test on a fucking sex doll.
Well, I was asking a friend about it, and she was saying that it was like putting stuff into mice's eyes and shit. Mice's.
See, one hard thing is I was listening to a study about mice and them sort of. I think it was a fasting study, and they were working at these drugs were being tested on mice. It was for the prolonging human life and what it does. And anyway, it was like testing on mice, and then I started thinking about these poor little these little critters. And so there's this one side where it's like we're doing all these like serious research and we're testing on mice for a really great cause to prolong the human existence, things like cancer and diabetes and shit. But then there is an element of cruelty. I mean, I'm the guy who put mice into a container and shook it and fed them to my rats. No, I fed them to my snakes.
Really? Were the mice dead?
No. They were young.
Is that psychopathic? You know how they say if you kick a dog, you're probably going to murder people?
I had a snake and it needed to eat. Think about it now. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. But I wasn't give them dead.
Well, you can buy frozen mice.
Yeah.
And so it's a weird thing because I was maybe like 12, 13. And I did, maybe even younger, but I thought that was like, I didn't really, I thought, a bit sad about it, but I did it. It's a weird thing. That's so weird.
I'm feeling self-conscious because the Shameless girls, they did a shout out of the show in email.
I did see that. That's nice. Thanks girls.
The way they described us, they said we do social and political stuff.
Well, this is what we're nailing right now, isn't it?
It's
social.
We are all, they didn't they buried the lead, which is we're two idiots who have no fucking idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's a very, very
so I'm just going to say that up front.
So if you've come from reading that.
Yeah. If you come for the vocab, stick to Shameless.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're not journalists. We just say what we're thinking, which isn't always the best. But sometimes it's good. I like it.
Well, I think they say what they're thinking, but they're just thinking maybe at a different level.
So, yeah, thinking about what you're saying. A good one that I thought recently before I spoke. So I thought before I spoke. A lot of times, so someone asked me a piece of advice, and I wanted to sort of give my thoughts around it, which wouldn't have served the person in a positive way.
Yeah.
It could have been taken as negative, or I could have been shutting down their idea. And your suggestion to me was, I don't think it's our duty to tell them that we don't think it'll work.
I don't think it's our duty to apply our own limiting beliefs onto other people. I think that I would prefer to be in a position where it's like, yeah, you can fucking do it. How can we help you do it? How, like that sort of language.
But what about when it's super clear? So because we're not being clear about what I said, but it's like if someone came to you and said, should I do this? And you are thinking, that's not going to work for what you've told me that you want it to. So based on my existence. So when do you listen to yourself to go, maybe I tell you it's not a good idea.
So
it's not going to do what you say.
If someone came to you and said, hey, I want to quit my job and start doing YouTube full time, your advice would be like, fuck no. And the reason is because we haven't done it. Like we've done something else. And so it feels like we can only pull from our own experiences. And when people are doing like epic stuff, when they're doing like extremely amazing stuff, like Mark Zuckerberg coming to us and saying, hey man, I've got this idea, social network.
Yes.
Like, bro, that sounds ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, people shut down the Airbnb idea constantly. Like letting strangers in your house. What a stupid idea.
Yeah. So that's why I think that it's, do you have a responsibility to, I guess that we prioritize being honest, but it's worth considering that our honesty is sometimes just our own anxieties around how we feel about it. And so if someone's like, hey, I want to quit my job, if that's what they're feeling and that's what's right for them, I feel like that's a good thing.
I mean, you're the exception if you just quit your job for YouTube and make it. But when can you actually start giving advice? It's been asked, so you're not just giving unsolicited advice. But if someone's saying, you, based on all of your experience, what do you actually think I should do? Because I think this is the position a lot of people end up in, where someone comes to them, they've said those words. What would you think that I should do? So they've asked for it, and you can give a response. And if you're to give them the response they want, it's basically an honest one. You've asked, do you think I should? Do you think?
So maybe it's saying like, here's the risks. This is what could happen. Giving your opinion in that regards, but trying to do it so that it's not limiting their own sort of like putting the sort of limiting beliefs on them.
It's hard because when someone comes to you and their idea sounds horrible, at what point do you just go, that's horrible? Or do you just never say it's horrible?
A good example is Michelle and Zara from Shameless, because they're an example of like, if someone said to me, I'm going to quit my job and I want my main source of income to be podcast revenue, what would your advice be?
Horrible idea.
Yeah. And Michelle did it, and Zara's like finishing up, and they're able to do, that's like their main shtick.
So they've become the exception.
Yeah. So the thing is, what if they'd come to us? I'm sure I had conversations with Michelle on Instagram, being like, talking about sponsorship stuff and all that sort of thing. And this was earlier before they'd gone as big as they are now. And it's like I could see, because I haven't done it, I'm like, that'd be fucking hard. Don't rely on it. Like I had no plans of making cash from this podcast.
Can't you say it's a bad idea logically with what the landscape looks like?
Because a bad idea is...
There's a chance of being the exception. And if you can do it based on your cash that you've saved away and you're okay with spending 30 grand of your savings on living for a year, doing your thing. Matt Diavella didn't take on any client work and had a buffer to see him through a few years of not making any money and living on a low salary or low amount of money. But he made it. Hey, Mr. 97, can you get this man a towel? Get this man a sweat rag right now.
This is the thing is that the sweat doesn't show up.
Doesn't it?
That
shows up in my eyeballs, bro.
Mr. 97, you can't see it on camera, can you? Is this a clean one?
What a brave man. Mr. 97 just smelt
the thing,
the sweat rag.
This is why I shouldn't have a Reuben just before the show. It's not even fucking hot today. It's a top of 28 degrees. It's the morning. There's no excuses.
Maybe you're thinking that there's a 1,000 Shameless fans.
It's actually
in front of us.
It's the fact that I've got my headphones.
Oh, 100%.
Get them it's holding. No, I want to. So this is the thing. You're always like, man, it's fine. Hold it. Like, just take off your headphones.
Get off, bro. I'm watching the levels.
It's the equivalent of just like, mate, take your hands off the steering wheel. It's like, this isn't a fucking Tesla.
Yeah.
But I was excited this morning.
Yeah.
Came in to work early, knock on the door. It's the postman. He said, Josh. And I said, yeah, mate. And then I said, I was thinking in my head of his name, nailed his name.
Good man.
Hey, thanks, Carney. He's like, oh, you know my name. We shook hands. It was a great moment. But the bit that I was impressed of was that I remembered. And not only that, but in that moment, I wanted to say how I remembered his name.
Yeah.
Like when I've pulled something off, when I pulled off this memory thing, I want to be like, mate, how good. Like I want to celebrate. Yeah. But I was proud of myself because I realized that the true celebration is making it look seamless.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. But there is something rewarding in... Yeah, but I mean, he's the guy... He hasn't had to do that. He might not have been thinking about that. So what did you do? Did you actually tell him how you remember?
No. He just said it like it was just great.
Yeah.
I just said, it just took me a few seconds. We got there and it was good.
God, I've had that moment. And I think everyone's probably had it. You're walking towards a person that you know. The worst was when I had personal training clients that had just stopped training with me, and then I'm seeing them in public. They paid me all this money. We spent all this one-on-one time together, talking about family, everything. And they're walking to a I'm just like, fuck, what's their name?
Did you
blank, like cannot remember. And then all of a sudden, as soon as we start talking, I remember it.
Just halfway through. John!
It's so bizarre.
Halfway through talking to them.
So bizarre.
Did you have a file? My mum's a dental nurse.
Yeah.
They have a file on like details about their patients.
Yes, yeah.
So it's like they come in and it's like, oh, how's your cat Sophie going?
Yeah. It's textbook. It's like 101 is like with a client, take down some details when their birthday is. So I remember learning about that stuff and it was like, yeah, what are their kids' names? And I think you do that, you systemize it at the start by writing shit out. But then it's like you actually just become a human that's actually interested in knowing who their family is and what they do and what they've been up to. So then, you keep that bank. But then it can go. That's why having the files actually.
But the scale, it doesn't work at scale.
Not at all.
Hard for psychologists.
Oh, definitely. Because you don't want to be talking to one person about someone else's problems.
Yeah.
It's okay that your husband left you.
So no, it's all fine. I've never been married. But
that would be embarrassing. That's a shit psychologist.
I remember I asked Bree, I said, how did the psychologist go to that? And she said, she kept calling you Adam. I was like, okay.
She was negging you.
Yeah.
Don't worry about your boyfriend, Adam.
But so that was sort of, I think, I don't know where the wires got crossed there.
Yeah, that is so funny. So we went, we're sort of recording this a little later than normal. Amy and I went to the doctor. This is a specialist today.
What does he specialise in?
He specialises in breasts and I guess breast cancer. Mm-hmm. He's a surgeon. He's a I don't know. He's a specialist that charges us $168 to walk in for 5 minutes. He's lovely. I will give him that. Mm-hmm. He's so warm. And so Amy had this lump in her boob. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. So this was like the final.
That was ages ago.
Yeah, nearly a year ago. So there was some fucking scary times. And it's interesting, like that place, women are there. There's so many women there. They're there for the one reason of having their boobs checked by somebody who is the guy that looks for cancer. So there's this energy in those places.
Hospital?
No, they're just like, this one's a really nice clinic in Brighton. It's just like an old house. Super lovely, super warm. And so they create a nice environment. But it's, anyway, so.
What did he remember? Did he say, oh, hey, did he remember your name?
Yeah, he is a guy that, writes everything down. So I'm seeing him do this process. He draws little pictures. It's amazing. Like
a little caricature of you.
No, legit. He like draws breasts and he's like draws it to the scale. And so Amy had this breast tissue that was hard and it was like quite big. And turns out a year later you find out that he was fucking worried about it.
Oh, really?
But he never showed his cards. Anyway, it turned out to be, thank God, nothing serious and it's completely gone.
Did you have to have a scan to work that out?
Heaps of stuff. It's fucking scary. And I feel what we went through was like not even close to what's most, like a lot of women. Like this guy does surgeries like 10, 15 a week on breast cancer.
So he's actually like a surgeon.
He's a surgeon and he's also so he's a surgeon and a doctor. So maybe there's some people, I think maybe he's just a surgeon that has a clinic where the patients that he sees he ends up operating on. And so he's lovely, he's old, but he's been in our family. So I had a bit of understanding.
He's been in our family, what does that mean?
He's treated our family before because he wasn't always a breast surgeon. He did circumcisions as well.
Really?
And so I had some intel on one of his
You got circumcised?
No, I'm not circumcised.
Okay,
It was me bro. I'm sure he wouldn't want me talking about it, but it was like...
Why does your bro get circumcised and not you?
It was later in life. So if you've got a complication later in life, you can have it done.
Oh, really?
It's horrible to have later in life. Horrible. Like severely painful. Think about it. It's like an area that's so sensitive. I remember... This is weird. My penis, I remember it being more sensitive as a kid and then you sort of get older and it's like... less... It sounds weird though, but... I think you grow up as a kid.
It's a big fucking tradie dick.
That's weird. But I think it's a private part. So it'd be like having it done later in life is horrible. I think it's absolutely horrible circumcising children now. I would never do it. It's so unnecessary these days.
Do you reckon you wouldn't? Because I'm circumcised, but I didn't know. Like I don't know the not social etiquette of, but people really fucking hate circumcision. Like it's pretty frowned upon, isn't it?
Well, you're not Jewish, so it's within the Jewish culture to,
which is pretty fucked up. Why is mum and dad doing it? Aesthetic.
Yeah, I don't know. So this is the thing. I've had a child. I've had a boy. There's an option of circumcising him. It was never forced upon us to do anything. I've been adamantly against it based on no need. Like, it's so interesting that how is my son any different? And I'm like, I think you're no different to my son, but there's no need to do what happened to you to my son. And so I don't judge your mum. It's like, yeah, so that's the thing. I say this with caution based on mothers that have chosen or fathers that have chosen to do it or people that haven't now. There's no real difference. Maybe years ago when it was like, hygiene and things were a real problem. Yeah, I just don't see any benefit of it.
Is there a, what's it called when you're, people are, you got anti-vaxxers, you got all that sort of stuff. Is there a circumcision? Like if you were, say, at a pools or whatever and there's a kid who's being like, are you looking at the parents being like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
No. It's a personal choice. I just don't want to put my son through that pain. Like,
how old was your bro?
Yeah, I think like 14 or something, which is, man, that's pain. All I remember was him just being curled up in his bed and I'd walk past. Ooh, poor bastard. But he needed to.
Not curled up anymore.
Not curled up. Anyway, so the man who was inspecting my wife's breasts also did that. to my brother. So it's in our family. So I mentioned that the first time. I couldn't help myself. I was like, oh, we actually, you know my family. And he sort of laughed when I said that's what he did to my brother, because he's like, that was so long ago. Like he's been a breast surgeon for 20 years now.
I guess like doctors have niches.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was a niche, not really a thing anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he was just more of a general surgeon then, doing a bunch of different things, and now he only does that. And he's one of the best.
They burn. That's how the circumcision works.
I don't know. I don't want to think about it. No need. The one thing though is, I just think about, if you've got no money, like we've got no fucking money, we're getting by on the fucking smell of an oily rag. We're cool. We're fine. We're safe. We've got food and everything. So I think we're at like the bottom of the average, but we're above the fucking bottom, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, people with no money, how the fuck do you afford $168 for 5 minutes? He literally just said, cool, I don't need to see you again. That's all he said. He said, congratulations.
Oh,
and he was warm and lovely, but so it felt good.
Did she have to go in? Did Amy go in for scans before that meeting, or was the last one like he could feel it out and be like, it's fine?
For Amy, having nothing wrong with her, we've spent $1,500.
That's crazy, isn't it?
And I would spend $5,000 if it meant to hear that there's nothing wrong. But for the person that has no money, like we get small rebates. But I just think about like how it's a fucking hard existence when there's shit going. Like,
is there a cheaper way of doing it, or
you can go through the public health system,
and what's the difference?
Slower. Like my thing is,
have you guys got private health or
no? We don't.
Would it have made a difference?
You're paying the money for the year anyway, so you're paying $1,500 a year per person private health.
I used to have private health, never used it.
Yeah,
it's just like, so I worked out that it was probably just better for me.
Yeah. So there's time, like Scotty Pape in his book, if you the private health stuff only really makes sense when you're over a certain bracket. So even if you're at a certain age, because there's a tax bracket. What is it? There's like you. Oh yeah,
over your tax over 30 years old,
and if you don't have health insurance, you're taxed slightly more, or there's a tax applied, but it's actually not as much as health insurance. So if you're not over there's this thing. It's like most people don't need it. Life insurance is the one. Which have you
got it sorted yet?
No, I want to get that this year.
You can tie it into your super, I think.
You can. I got to sort my shit out. But like mum and dad, they've just stopped their life insurance. Dad had it for 30 years based on having 3 kids, a mortgage, and
If you just die of being old, do the insurers pay out?
No. Was it? No, because it's natural. If you die of being old dying of being old is natural causes. So why would they?
Isn't dying all natural causes? You fucking everything stops working, you die.
Dying of natural causes is not dying of disease or dying of what is dying of natural causes? Is it just?
But is that true? I don't know I think like it obviously doesn't cover suicide and stuff. But if you all of a sudden got sick, if you got cancer and then died, they're covering that. Yes,
you're right. But I don't know. I think it would be pretty hard to insure a 95-year-old dude for $2 million when he's about to nod. He's about to he's gone.
Yeah, sure.
Pretty soon. If you're 95 and you're watching, well done.
It's as expensive as an I-30 in Abbotsford.
So mum and dad have just pulled their life insurance because they don't need it like they used to.
No longer seeing dollar signs over their heads.
I know. I've taken the hit off. No. But mum and dad think about how much money that is.
How much is it a year?
Oh, you're paying like, what was it? I worked it out, about $30 a week.
Okay.
And if you're doing that, say if you averaged it $30 a week.
3 Rubens.
$30 a week for 30 years, that's a lot of cash. But what's the alternative? Like, because if something did go wrong or, you're on a building site and shit goes pear-shaped.
Well, because we were talking to Papey about this and he was like, Tommy, you need life insurance. Yeah. And I said, what about me? He's like, nah. I was like, what the fuck? What is it? What's that? What's going on? He's like, you got no dependents or whatever.
Yeah.
And so because I've got, I guess Brie and I dependents of each other. I think on the fucking rental form you have to select yes.
Yeah.
But
I think it's children. So throw a kid into the mix. It's so morbid to think like this.
Yeah.
But you have to.
Have you done your will? Absolutely not. You wouldn't have done your will if you haven't got life insurance.
Nah. Here's a funny thing. When I was...
I'll be the judge.
When I was... Yeah, I never said it. Never preface something with, here's a funny thing. When I went on tour as a stripper when I was 19, I went up to Sydney and it was like I knew none of the guys that were about to fly over to New Zealand and do like 30 shows.
Do they show peens?
Nah.
Strippers? No?
No.
Was there a preference though of like... Because I guess some do.
No.
None?
Maybe. I don't know. But
none in your group?
Yeah, it wasn't that. It's not that kind of a show.
Okay.
Anyway, it was like dancing show. It was whack. It was horrible. It was like the Magic Mike 1 out of 10 compared to Magic Mike. Anyway, the D grade version of Magic Mike. That's what we were.
I'm trying to think, what's the opposite of magic?
Poison Mike. Anyway, I met this guy, random dude, and he was one of the dudes that we were going to be going away with. And he's like, oh yeah, I've got to go into Bondi Junction. And I was like, oh yeah, sweet. I was just riding along, hanging out
in his car.
Yeah, and he's like, I've got to go do my will. And I was
what are you planning, bro?
Yeah, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, I'm going away. It was like, I think his first time overseas.
Really?
I've got to, got my girlfriend now. I'm doing my will. So we went to the post office to get his will forms, and it was just, I was just confused. I was like, bro, you're like a couple of years older than me.
Maybe there is a fear thing. Like maybe Flight Centre should add that to their thing, or maybe we could start a shop outside of Flight Centre. Booked a trip to Bali, get your will sorted.
When do you do your will? I think when you have more, like our business blows up, and then we've both got a bunch of. I see the connection, but kids, for Bodhi to grow up. And not leave that burden on Amy. That's what Scott means. Like, what, 20 grand a year Bodhi probably costs? Not yet, but soon he'll be easily $20,000 a year. School fees, life, food, chipping in for rent. Do you know? Then how does Amy afford that?
Do you know any? I went to school with someone who she had she was bitten by a dog when she was young.
Badly?
Not that bad. But it was bad enough that she got like a bit of a payout from somewhere. And so she ended up getting plastic surgery, getting fucking veneers.
Oh, veneers, yeah.
Yeah. But she's a model now.
Yeah.
So that's a good, feel-good story. I was just thinking of getting payouts.
Yeah.
Never being paid out for anything.
Essentially, you don't want to ever have a payout for anything.
But even the insurance stuff
has had to have happened.
Me dropping my laptop, I mentioned this the other day, dinted the laptop. Yeah. Speaking to Scooter Derek downstairs, he's like, take that to the insurance.
Yeah, we saw him a day later. He says, I've still been thinking about it. Get it done.
He goes, when it breaks in 6 months because of that dint, you're going to be fucked.
Yeah.
But do you agree with that or no? Do you think I should?
It depends. If you're paying for, like... it totally depends on what you're doing.
I'm paying for the insurance.
If you're just paying on like you are paying for the insurance.
Well, I've got the public liability plus the $20,000 coverage. It's that one.
For Mac.
Which includes... No. It's the Aon insurance I've got.
Oh,
but it includes... Like I can use whatever the $20K on anything.
Nah, you can't do that because it's not broken. It has
so
to be
this was
repaired.
the whole
They'd
thing.
repair it. They'd pay for the repair of it.
That's what I don't want to happen because
that's too much time.
It's fucked.
This is the thing. People... fucking try and pull dodgies on insurance. This is why we pay so much money. Cars. I know a guy who drove his car into a tree just so he could...
I hope he got his will sorted before he did that.
No. What a stupid thing to do. And then he did it again with another car. It's not my mate anymore.
Yeah. I feel like... what was it? There was someone... I think we've mentioned it about Bogan stuff, but Gronk behaviour is insurance fraud.
100%.
I remember when I was a kid and I first found out about insurance.
Yeah.
I feel like you straight away go into insurance fraud. Like people are like, so you get insured, right? Yeah. And so if something gets stolen, they'll like replace it. And as a kid, you don't fucking understand the world. So straight away, you're like, well, why don't you just fucking lie and say that it's stolen? Yeah. And then you realize that that's not really I've never taken out an insurance. The insurers are banking on the fact that I can't be fucked with admin.
100%. And they're banking on you not making a claim because then their revenue for the year's higher.
I pride myself on not making a claim. So shit's broken. I'm like, is it actually marking anything?
What?
Well, like if I make a claim.
Different policies have different...
Okay. We're covering a lot of admin today.
Yeah, I know. If you want to know about your personal insurance property, I've actually done an insurance claim through it.
Oh, that's sure. And it was fine.
It's annoying. You don't get back the full price of the.
They take off GST and shit, which is like tax here in Australia.
Then you can't actually buy the thing that you have either broken or lost. Or had stolen.
You were impressed by my. I don't know if you were impressed by my social media.
I was actually freaked the fuck out because Josh and I yesterday had a conversation, and he was just talking about these two dudes who were having a bit of a fight, and you were watching from afar.
Well, we didn't know that they're having a fight.
Well, we just kind of thought that they were. Looked like they were. But one of the things that stuck with me was, and this was only post-conversation, that I really sort of thought about it, and it was. Yeah, he hasn't liked one of this other guy's photos since December 23 or something like that. It was so specific.
Yeah. And
then I thought about it after. I was like, how the fuck have you worked out that? And then I was like, the only way you would have worked out that
is by going through. Yeah. Well, because I was trying to, it's very easy on social media to work out who's fighting, I enjoy creating a bit of a story. And the funny thing was you then screen grab, when I said, hey, I think these dudes are having a bit of a biffo or whatever. And you're like, nah. I'm like, nah, they haven't liked it, all that sort of thing. Yeah. And then last night you sent me a screen grab and like, man, I think you're right because this seems a bit passive aggressive, doesn't it?
It's definitely happening. Yeah. But it's amazing that you've picked up on. Imagine if you got paid for doing all that shit.
Yeah, is it a skill?
I think it's the reason why you're off your own social media.
Yeah. That's why I need to get off.
Because when you connect the dots to why someone writes some passive comment or they were just being neglectful and they weren't thinking about what they were saying, the stuff we were talking about earlier. It's like take 2 more seconds to think about how this might sound because then what I've actually seen is you get stuff wrong. I've seen the dots connecting and you've got things wrong, but I've seen you get it so fucking right too, which is the problem.
I had friends at a previous company that I worked at thinking that I had intel on things because I was nailing. Yeah. I would get in early and I would just see and I would go up to a friend and I'm like, oh, is so-and-so getting made redundant? And I'd be like, no. And then you see them go into another room and like, yeah, Josh knows about the redundancy. And I've just worked out people. Here's one tip for you. If you're on LinkedIn, don't fucking wait until you've lost your job before you start getting active. It's like true. Such an obvious, like all of a sudden, it's just like the person who gives it 0 fucks about social media all of a sudden is just, and they normally use LinkedIn like Facebook because they haven't used it. Like,
so the warning signs for someone losing the job or looking for another job is increased activity, rapid increase in activity on LinkedIn.
Exactly. Potentially like more meetings.
What about the potential of a couple breaking up? Because I've seen a few couples and then I've looked in and then I've made a few conclusions based on there's no photos of them together. What are some real warning signs?
No, there's real slow burns. Definitely slow burns.
So for you to say that they haven't liked a photo of each other's or one of them hasn't liked a photo of the others, are you going onto photos, going into the likes and then searching for that person?
No, it was even easier. I scrolled
Don't reveal
through.
all your strategies, bruh.
No, because I only followed the 2 guys.
Yeah.
If the other person had liked the other person's photo, it would show their name up rather than the like number.
Okay.
And so I was just scrolling and I'm like, I don't think this is right. So I clicked on a few, typed in the dude's name. Nothing. And then I went further enough down to like December 23rd or whatever it was. And I see that they'd liked. So there'd been some sort of biffo that had gone down.
Yeah. But you can also blame it on the algorithm.
I mean, that's probably like that's probably the go-to.
Oh, babe, I haven't seen.
Yeah. I haven't seen. Have you been posting?
Amy cracks it when I haven't been doing that. She's less
liking your stuff?
Me liking her stuff.
Yeah. She doesn't post that often.
She doesn't post that often. But then it has real impact when I haven't liked the last 3. So maybe I've just, Mr. 97, you can just remind me, go through monthly. Like.
Oh, you can set up push notifications when people.
If this, then that. If Amy posts, Tommy likes. I could probably do that.
Did you see this? I don't know if you saw this morning. We got an Instagram notification that said someone has retracted their, unsent their post. Which I'd never seen before.
No, I haven't seen that. Who was it?
I don't know.
That's weird that it even tells you. That's a mindfuck, Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, hey, someone who's thinking about you, but we're not going to tell you who's thinking about you. That's horrible. That's not good for my business partner.
Yeah, I'll have a meltdown. It's a Daily Talk Show, everyone. Hi at thedailytalkshow.com. If you want to send us an email, Russ Keys, he was contacting us about this Loz cam.
Oh yeah,
in the background.
We've got to get rid of this one.
So
it's time to go.
In the video, we shoot in front of a wooden pallet wall.
Yeah. And it's just some branding off the wood that
It's not even branding. Would you call it branding?
Well,
it's property of. Branding. It's actually.
It's property of, but it is a way of getting branding because they didn't think about it, but it would have been. It's the center point of the Daily Talk Show.
They never thought that the pallets were going to be.
We should send it to Lozcam. I mean, they can't do much for us.
But is there a risk that they say, "Hey, did you lawfully get the product?"
Yeah, true.
Which did you?
I just asked the people. So pallets, they get. Deliveries come on them and they give them to the people. But then it's like property of the person. They have to deal with them. They get broken apart.
Why does it say property of Lozcam then?
I don't know. Maybe there was a futurist at the company that knew that hipsters would build walls out of them and feature them in podcasts like the Daily Talk Show.
Maybe. So we need to work out a replacement.
Yeah.
But you can listen. You can watch on youtube.com/The Daily Talk Show. We film all of the episodes now.
If you're a signage person or a neon sign person, get in contact because we'll get a Daily Talk Show neon sign. That would look sick.
Russ Keys actually did a Photoshop job of the logo. It actually looked quite good.
Looked not bad.
Not bad?
Looked not bad.
Not that good. Weren't that.
It was our logo, so there's nothing. He just took our logo, put it there, so it's not like he's.
No, but you weren't that excited.
Not the full. This is like the emblem. This is like on our sticker.
And you wouldn't be happy.
I just like like our logo is a microphone with the Daily Talk Show inside. I like that. It looks sick. I'm pretty set on a neon sign. Just a bit pricey at the moment, guys.
They are, aren't they?
Yeah.
Anyway, good chat, guys. It's the Daily Talk Show. Hi at thedailytalkshow.com. If you want to send us an email.
See you tomorrow.
Bye. It's Fat Fridays tomorrow.
Oh, fuck yes. Yes.
Peri Peri chips, I think. That's what we're going to do. Have a good one.
See you guys.